So what is antimicrobial resistance? Antimicrobial resistance happens when microorganisms that can cause disease resist to the effect of the drug, and this can lead to a treatment failure. Antimicrobial resistance is a process that happens naturally as bacteria change when they are exposed to antibiotic. But of course, misuse and overuse of antibiotic can accelerate this process. So here you have a diagram explaining how antimicrobial resistance happens. So if you see, there is a population of, in the first image, there is a population of germ, and some of them are resistant. When we use antibiotic, we kill the bacteria that cause the disease and also the bacteria that are good to our body, to protect our body. So the resistant bacteria will survive, will grow, will take over, and they can transmit the resistant genes to other bacteria, promoting the spread of antimicrobial resistance. So regarding the spread of antimicrobial resistance is something that is not completely clear yet. In fact, many studies have confirmed that the usage of antibiotic in livestock contribute to the emergence of antimicrobial resistance in human health. However, the impact of this risk is not completely clear. However, the spread can happen in between human and animal, can happen in both directions, and can happen by direct or indirect contact. People that work in strict contact with animals, like vet or farmer, are the category most at risk for the direct contact, while the indirect contact can happen through food, water, or the manual application to the field. Apart the transmission of the resistant bacteria, there are other factors that can contribute to the emergence of antimicrobial resistance, like, for example, the antimicrobial residues that can be found in edible tissue or in the environment, and that can contribute to the selective suppression of the resistance bacteria. So why antimicrobial resistance is such a serious problem, and why it has been defined one of the most public health threats facing humanity? First of all, because it makes bacterial infection hard to treat, and especially alarming are the so-called superbugs that are multi-resistant bacteria that are not treatable with the existing antibiotic. In fact, it has been estimated that by 2050, 10 million deaths a year will be caused by antimicrobial resistance if action are not taken. More than this, because of the financial cost to the national health system, because antimicrobial resistance lead to prolonged hospitalization and more expensive and intensive care. And this is aggravated by the fact by a serious lack of innovative antibiotic in development. So now we have a question for you. How concerned are you about antimicrobial resistance in UK dairy farms? You have 4 different options: very concerned, concerned to some extent, I don't think about it much either way, or not concerned at all. I think Emily is gonna send
I can it should be there if you click on polls on the right hand side. If you can click on your answer, and if we do that in the next 30 seconds or so, and then I'll click show results and we'll see if we get anything back. So if you want to type in the chat any problems with that, but if you are able to click on your response now, and then we'll see if the magic is going to work. Is that looking like everyone can do that? Yeah. Okay, we'll give you another little chance to think about that and respond. So how concerned are you about antimicrobial resistance on UK dairy farms? That's as a whole across the industry. So very concerned to some extent. I don't think about it either way, or not at all concerned. Okay, so I don't know how many have clicked it, but we'll just try show results, shall we, and see if that works. Can anyone see results? Not getting any result popping up, unfortunately. This is one of the aspects that we couldn't rehearse, so apologies. I'm just wondering whether it might be interesting at this stage just to ask anyone that wants to comment about this question, because obviously there's lots of other things going on in the industry at the minute that might be more concerning. If anyone wants to, oh, results are there if you click on the poll again. I still can't see the results.
If you'd like, just mute your microphone. If we can't share them, what I can say is that for some reason I can see them in front of me now. For the very concerned category, we have 30% of the vote. For the concerned to some extent, we have 66% of the vote. And I don't think about it either way, 7%. Not all concerned, 0%. So it appears that in the room, there is a strong swing towards the top two answers of very concerned and concerned to some extent.
Thanks, Martin. I wonder if you're going to have to do that for all of them. Maybe because I've set it up, for some reason I can't see the results, which is a bit strange. But I think it'd be nice now to know if, you know, I know, as I mentioned, there's lots of other things going on. If anyone wants to contribute how they see antimicrobial resistance fitting in with other concerns and what other concerns might be taking precedence. Obviously, there's some big things going on in the world right now. If anyone wants to chat in the chat just now and comment on that, or we can move on to the next. Just as an aside, I'm going to have to quickly set up the next poll, so I might just dip out for a sec and do that. But it was encouraging anyway to see that there is an awareness and a concern to some, for 30% of people, that was quite a big concern. Obviously, people that have joined the session may be more interested than others, so it might not be a truly representative result, but that's encouraging. Okay, I'm going to dip out and set up the next poll. Okay.
Thank you. So I'll show you in the meantime the next poll question. So, which is your main source of information regarding the correct antibiotic usage? You have different options: your vet, website in general, farming articles, guidance from the milk buyer, other farmers, or not sure, or other.
I'm hoping that's up there now. Can everyone see that? Sorry, my typing is rather slow, but essentially, what's your main source of information about correct usage of antibiotics? So would that be your vet, farming websites of some sort, the farming press, your guidance from your milk buyer, other farmers, or something else? Okay, if we give you another 30 seconds or so, if you want to contribute to that. I'll just close that poll now and show results. And Martin, you might have to help me out here. Okay.
Yeah, so results this time round. It's nice to hear. Vets have come out on top at 83% of the vote. Websites at 13%. Press 0%. Milk buyers 0%. Other farmers 0%, and other 4%. So that's just one vote there for other. Quite some interesting results there that I'd maybe like to ask a few questions about. I don't know what Emily and Eleanor's feelings are.
Yeah, sorry, Martin. What did you say?
So yeah, it's very nice to hear that 84% of people, so that's 21 votes, have said that their information comes from vets, which is quite a large chunk of the percentage. I'd just like to know if anyone in the room would like to say, does that kind of come direct face-to-face from the vet? Is that from things like herd health meetings, or is it kind of over the back of a sick calf? So just if anyone in the room is on the chat function and would like to contribute, it'd be much appreciated.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, so now let's see which are the main guidelines on the responsible antibiotic usage. In fact, over the last few decades, many international, national organizations and the governments have proposed recommendations on the correct antibiotic usage. In fact, here you have some example. For example, the World Health Organization that publish a list of critical important antibiotic, or national plan to tackle antimicrobial resistance. And for example, in the industry, we have the RUMA guideline, or for the vet, we have the BVA 7-point plan poster. However, there has been little assessment of the impact of this guideline on the antibiotic usage, especially on dairy farm. So what is your impression about it? We have another cool question. So do you think the antibiotic use has changed on UK dairy farm over the last few years? So you have the different option. Yes, has increased. No, it's about the same. Yes, has decreased, or not sure.
Yeah, so I speedily managed to type that in. Apologies, people are getting frustrated there. So it should be there on your polls. Just give you 30 seconds. People are obviously wanting to move on. So if you, this is considering the whole industry, what's your impression? Obviously, this is just your perspective. So not just thinking about your farm, but do you feel that antibiotic use has changed over the past 5 years across UK dairy farms? You may not all be dairy farmers, but this is just your impression of the industry. Okay, so I will bring up the results. Everyone's finished. Martin, can you see any results?
Sorry guys, I think the polls function, certainly for me in this interactive session, seems to have crashed. So we'll maybe come back to it. Eleanor, would you like to move on to your next slide, which maybe explains what we're seeing in the industry at the minute?
Yeah. So here in this slide, it's a presentation of the antibiotic usage in general in livestock. So in UK, there are 3 different ways to use antibiotics. So we have a therapeutic use, so treat animal when they are sick. Prophylactic use, that means treating animals that are healthy, but they are susceptible to get sick. or metaphylactic use. That it means that in a group in which some individuals are sick, all the animals are treated with antibiotic. Otherwise, the antimicrobial usage as growth promoter has been banned in European Union since 2006, but this practice is still used in other parts of the world. So exact figures about the antimicrobial use are not known and are very difficult to calculate, and the only data that we have are coming from the pharmaceutical sale. However, for the drugs that are authorized for more than one species, it's not possible to determine the quantity sold for just one species. So regarding cattle, the antibiotic authorized only for cattle represents 7% of the total sale, while most of the sales regard pig and poultry that account for 60% of the total sale. However, over the last few years, so here we have a graph showing a reduction of 40% of the sale of antibiotic between 2014 and 2017. But again, this regards mostly pig and poultry. Regarding the dairy industry, here we have some data coming from a report. This is the UK Veterinary Antibiotic Resistance and Sales Surveillance Report published in 2019. So in the left, there is a table showing the sales of injectable antibiotic. This is our data from 2018. So you can see in the first column, in 2018, there has been a reduction of 30% of the sale of injectable antibiotic compared to 2015. A reduction of 36% compared to 2016, while in compared to 2017, there has been an increase of 9%. This was only about general antibiotic. If we focus on the critical important antibiotic, the reduction has been much more important. In fact, in 2018, there has been a reduction of 80% compared to 2015, of 61% compared to 2016, and of 37% compared to 2017. On the right, we have a graph showing the trend of the sales of intramammary tube for both dry cow and lactating cow. And as you can see, the sales has fluctuated between 2014 and 2018, but without an important reduction. However, again, if we consider only the critical important antibiotic, the reduction has been much more relevant. In fact, there has been a reduction of 64% since 2015. So the general trend is that there is a reduction of the usage of antibiotic, and this is especially for the critical important antibiotic. So we have a question. Which one do you think is the main reason for using antibiotic in your farm? Mastitis, calf pneumonia or scour, so general calf diseases, lameness, metritis or post-calving disease, dry cow therapy, or other?
Thanks, Leah. Yeah, that should be up there now. And perhaps after that, we can just have a quick chat about the results from the last one, which I think showed that everyone agreed that antimicrobial use was decreasing, and Elena has demonstrated that's borne out by your perspective, is borne out by the official figures as such. So it looks like the direction of travel is good, but perhaps we can discuss whether we need to keep on that track, or whether we've kind of reached the limit on that. But we can come back to that. So if you can finish off what your main reason would be on your farm for using antimicrobial, I will click on show results. Anyone that can see the results, let me know what they are. Still having trouble seeing them?
being defeated by technology today, Emily, unfortunately?
I think last time someone very helpfully popped in the chat what those results were. Thank you very much, Hannah. We've got mastitis at 30%. We're not getting huge amounts of votes, I have to say. There may be other people that are struggling with the poll function, but so obviously bear that in mind that we're having small numbers. It may also be that the people that are on aren't necessarily on the ground dealing with these things on farms, so we can bear that in mind. But the people that have voted, we've got mastitis 30%, calf diseases at 30%, lameness at 10%, and dry cow therapy is the other 30% there. So thank you for that. Elena, does that chime with, again, what the figures come through?
Yeah, so yeah, this is quite consistent with some findings that have been found in a survey conducted in UK previously. In fact, mastitis has been found to be the first reason for using antibiotic, with 93% of the farmer using intramammary tube for lactating cow and 96% of the farmer using intramammary tube for dry cow therapy. Calf pneumonia has been reported as the second main cause for using antibiotic, and also lameness was an important reason, with 55% of the farmer reporting that they use injectable antibiotic for treating clinical cases of lameness.
Sorry to interrupt there, just with those results, what I do think is really interesting and really encouraging is that no one voted for metritis post-calving difficulties, which, if we think as an industry historically where we were 5 to 10 years ago, that would be an area that people would classically use a lot of cephalosporin. So be it third or fourth generation short milk withholds. And that's what we are seeing in UK studies as well. So it definitely is encouraging to see in the room that those areas which are more likely to use kind of our critically important antibiotics seems to be less usage. And it probably points us in a direction to say, well, the other diseases that have risen, does that create more focus there moving forward? Thank you, Eleanor.
Thank you, Martin. So now we have another question. Which one do you think is your most frequently used antibiotic in your farm? So you have beta-lactam or streptomycin, so the classic Anistrep, oxytetracycline, alamycin, tylosin, that is Tylon, or ceftiofur, the Naxel, or other, if are other.
Sorry, I was caught on the hop there. I apologise for my spelling, etc., and for my just abbreviating everything there. So yes, hopefully that's coming through as most frequently used antibiotic. I've just shortened that to pen strep type of products versus Oxytet or Alamycin type products. Tylosin, which would be a brand there, would be Tylan. Ceftiofur, which of course I haven't spelt, and other. So if you could click on that, that would be appreciated. Thanks.
What we probably should say is other brands of antibiotics are available. I do realise there are some drugs, AgriScot. These were just commonly used antibiotics on farms, and we thought farmers may or may not be using.
That bit of shorthand there. Okay, I'm going to click on show results again. It may not be applicable to everyone that's in this chat, but it'd be interesting to see anyway. And if someone very, very kind could just post in the chat what the results are. Oh, thank you, Hannah. That's really kind. So we've got the pen strip or beta-lactam streptomycin type products at 62%. So that would be the majority that have voted in that respect. Oxytetracycline type products at 31%. And other, we've just got one vote. If that person does want to type in what the other product is, it would be really good to see. However, I think those figures again are probably quite to be expected, Gillian.
Yeah, exactly. So here in this slide you have a pie chart showing the sale of antibiotic by class. So as you can see, penicillin represents the category of antibiotic most sold with 32%. Aminoglycosid, that is streptomycin, again is the second one, and oxytetracycline is represent the third one with 19% of the total sale. So these three categories altogether represent almost 3/4 of the total sale of antibiotic, and we can see that the fluoroquinolone and third and fourth generation cephalosporin, that are critically important antibiotic, represent just a very small percentage of the sale, while macrolide, that are also critically important antibiotic, still represent a quite important part of the sale. So, what do you think? Do you think it's possible to reduce antimicrobial use in UK dairy farm? You have 4 different options. Yes, easily. Yes, possible, but with some barriers. Not too difficult or not sure.
Yeah, I think this is it's sort of harking back to that thing that yes, we're on the downward trend, and that's great. And people have obviously, for whatever reason, whether that's pressure from external agencies, have made that attempt and reduced the antibiotics. But it's that critical question of is it easy to go any further? Should we go any further? Or is that just a step too far? So it's kind of looking to the future, really, to see how we perceive that. Okay, I'm just going to click on, I've got lots of polls to type in a sec, so I might just show these and then I'll hurry off and do that.
Just while Emily's doing that, I think it's worth kind of noting that the percentage of macrolide usage there, well, we presume that within the UK dairy sector that some of that is to do with calf health. We're not sure, and that was one of the answers that came from the previous poll, that people are still treating calves for pneumonia and scour. Some of the figures nationally may come from macrolide usage in sheep, which may have been commonly used with foot health issues. But it is really useful information to get from the room that in the dairy sector that calf pneumonia appears to be an area that should be looked at a little bit closer. So thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
And we've got some results here up from Hannah that it may. Do you think it's easy to reduce antimicrobial usage further? 7% said yes, it is easy. 80%, but tricky. 2 optimists in the room with votes saying it's not too difficult, and no one saying not sure. This appears to be a consensus that we want to move in the right direction, but it may be difficult considering where we're already at. And I think kind of as a farm vet, I can appreciate that. Certainly the farmers that I've dealt with over the years, everyone wants to move in the right direction, but are we approaching a point that is where we have to think a little bit harder about the gains that we make. The gains that we've done so far have been relatively quick and relatively adaptable, but do we have to think about certain areas in a bit more depth to take the next step?
Thank you, Martin. So now let's see which are the main recommendations to reduce the antimicrobial resistance on dairy farm. So first of all, having and regularly review a herd health plan, including biosecurity measure, control disease and vaccination protocol, parasite control, and dry cow strategy. Collecting sample for cultural sensitivity in order to target the bacteria with the right antibiotic. Having hospital pen to isolate sick animal and limit the spread of the disease. Always ensure the proper storage of medicine and the proper disposal of the unused medicine. Respect the withdrawal period before including the milk in the bulk tank or the slaughter for the treated animal. Respect the full course of treatment and the correct dosage. Keep medicine record and accurate information about the identity of the treated animal and the antibiotic used. Ensure a good staff training about the detection of the disease and the usage and the correct usage of drugs, and having written protocols, and of course maintain a good management and hygiene on farm to limit the spread of the disease and in general keep the animal healthier. So in your opinion, which one would be the main barrier to reduce the antimicrobial use on your farm, in your specific farm? Limited knowledge or training, limited time or labor, limited finances, lack of staff compliance, limited facilities, or other?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that poll should be up now.
Thank you.
Hopefully all those categories are going to make sense to you. We know that training can be a big issue, specifically really practical training for farmers. It's really focused on what you can actually do, whether that's via your vet or via some of the other agencies that provide training. Labour and time is always a big one, as well as money. And I know that some of the bigger dairy farms with a lot of staff, it can be tricky to, in terms of on-farm training, and not just that, actually having people carry out your protocols as you would like them to be. Facilities might cover something like your isolation pens or being able to keep animals away if they're sick. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and then if I can leave that so I can quickly scribe in the next poll. Okay. Hopefully results should come up there. I'll leave that.
Just while results are coming up, I think it's quite an interesting point that Eleanor said about targeted diagnostics and more culture and sensitivity. That's something certainly that at Glasgow we've been working at over the years with Lorenzo Viora's team in terms of on-farm quick mastitis diagnostic. We've also looked at Valentina Busin's group at sheep scab quick animal side diagnostics. And I think this kind of rapid diagnostic and appropriate treatment happens on farms is somewhere we will move forward. I do know a number of farms are doing that in Scotland, and it's certainly an area that I hope farmers in the room will be talking to their vets about. I don't know if there's any opinions on how useful these kind of cow-side calf scour or cow-side mastitis diagnostic kits are.
See someone in the chat there just saying, with respect to the last, yeah, and Martin's responded to it about about whether we can reduce it further, and that other industries such as the pig industry are very proactive on this, and other countries as well we can look to. So it was interesting to get that. Thank you, Neil. Has anyone got the results of this? Oh, we've got it there. Yeah, so Hannah has posted on. So knowledge and training is coming up at 36% of being one of the main barriers, which is interesting. No one at this stage has voted for the time or the money being an issue. Staff compliance has come up with 18% of votes, and facilities at 36% of the votes. So again, that's an interesting point. So Hannah's raised, I'm sure others are feeling the same way from the votes, that knowledge and training is a huge issue, and getting that training right, I think, being targeted and being practical. I know other people in other groups have mentioned things that HDB and so on have provided about dry cow therapy and selective dry cow therapy. So these sort of things that are very targeted, I think, have been shown to be quite successful. And the fact that no one has thought they haven't got enough time or money, so that's good. But this issue with staff compliance, we've heard that quite a lot before, that even if you put protocols in place, they don't always get put into action. And facilities is coming up as well. Okay, thank you for that.
So other poll question, which of the following do you think would be the main advantage in reducing the antibiotic usage in general on dairy farm? Reducing the cost of the antibiotic, reducing the resistance in the dairy farm, increasing the confidence of the consumer, increasing the safety of the milk, or not sure?
Okay, so hopefully all self-explanatory. We know that the consumer, there are some very vocal consumer groups, and that's certainly been the case on the up the last couple of years, in terms of perhaps the lobby type groups that are perhaps some of the vegan groups and so on, and they have a mixture of different concerns perhaps. And so consumer confidence is really important for the industry. I think everyone will agree. So it's how much we feel that is important as compared to some of these other things that are up here. And residues in milk as well has been quite topical. So milk safety, it's sort of aligned with consumer confidence there, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to click on results. We've had a few short time to respond to that. And again, I will then dash off. So hopefully someone else can talk to that.
Thank you, Amy.
So there's just while the next poll's on the go, there's a few comments in the stream that I think are worth noting. That high health stock it seems to be a priority, and I should point out there are a number of high health schemes running in Scotland from the SAC and BiasBest, so that's the Premium Cattle Health Scheme and the High Health Herd Care. And I would agree that kind of the ability for people to assess endemic disease within herds is quite important, and I'm sure lots of vets that are speaking to farmers about ways to reduce endemic disease within herds. There's been another comment about getting facilities, buildings and ventilation and bedding and stockmanship right. Funding that we certainly applied to at home on the farm, looking at infrastructure improvements to reduce carbon. And what I would say is farms that I've come across, certainly are we at that stage where facilities do, or the investment in capital in facilities seem to limit how we can manage stock within those buildings. So there's some bits in the comments that if people or would like to email about or chat further, we'd be more than happy to talk about moving forward. Results from the last poll that Hannah Noble put up have come through with the resounding number of people voting for decreased antimicrobial resistance. And I don't know how Emily's getting on with kind of the next poll.
Yeah, I think the next one is up there, but I think that's a really actually quite interesting result from that one about the advantages. The main advantage being decreasing antimicrobial resistance. So that's certainly good from our perspective. So the next one here, Elena's got up, hopefully you can see as well, is about the flip side of that. So the disadvantages that there might be to reducing antimicrobial use, where we are aware that there is going to be a limit to that. You can't keep, or that's something maybe to consider. Can you keep reducing? Other people have suggested on the chat there that you can and that we should, perhaps. But what is your perception of the disadvantages to doing that? Elena, I don't know if you want to just go.
Yeah. So we have as option reducing the animal welfare, reducing the milk production and the profitability of the farm in general, increasing the disease or the mortality of the animal, or time consuming or increasing labor. Because as we said before, isolating sick animal and so on, or not sure.
Disease and the welfare may be associated and so on, but in terms of public perception as well, I suppose, is that something that farmers and vets obviously want? Good welfare, we want minimal disease, and we want good production, and that might be a really good reason to be using antimicrobials in a targeted way. And how much do consumers appreciate that aspect to it, I think is quite interesting as well. It might not be something that they've considered. They think perhaps from the media, etc., that all antimicrobial use is bad. So maybe that's something that we need to discuss and engage with the public on a bit more. Okay, so I will click on share results and we can see where we get to that. So we are getting some results back there. So we've got 33% think that the main disadvantage would be a decrease in welfare and animal welfare. At this time, no one had voted for decreased production, but 17% increased disease. Not sure, there was a few not sure there. So I think the welfare, the disease aspect that I discussed a minute ago that is what people are saying.
Thank you, Ami. So we finished with the poll question. I would like to thank Lidl that is promoting this study and founding the study, and also my clinical training at the university. I would like to thank Stuart Martin that is collaborating as well to this project, and all the farmers that participated to the study. I have a slide here for Emily.
Yeah, I'll come on to that. This is a little bit about another study that we're doing, but just before we skip on, is anyone else want to interject at this point? Because we're really, as Elena stressed at the beginning, there's a lot of people in the media, there's a lot of things about your milk buyers and the industry, but what this whole project, what Elena's project is all about is understanding the farmer's perspective. So really happy to have a bit of a discussion now, or hopefully we put at the beginning of the slides there, Elena's contact. Obviously, we will be getting the questionnaire going in the new year, so you may find that landing on, well, it wouldn't land on your doormat, it'll probably come for you to click through and do a quick online questionnaire, which will be focused around these sorts of things. So really encourage people to respond to that, because it's the chance for the farmers to have their perspective heard, which I think is really important. Someone just pointing out that the RUMA Targets Task Force report has been published today. So we're interested in how much farmers are aware of RUMA and so on. We're aware of other initiatives that are aimed at the industry. So it's trying to get an idea of how much farmers are aware. Just as Elena's pointed out, I've just popped up the slide here. This is another project that we're doing on Mycoplasma bovis on dairy farms in Scotland. So this is in collaboration with the SRUC. And they're just in their final throes of trying to recruit people for this study. So if you have a dairy farm and you haven't already heard about it and you're in Scotland, you've got a last chance in the next week or two to sign up to that study. Essentially, it just runs over a year. You have to submit 4 bulk milk samples over the course of a year. So 4 quarterly bulk milk samples, and the milk will be tested for Mycoplasma bovis, and then you'll get the results, basically. So it is quite low input. We've already had about 150 farms sign up across Scotland. So we've had a good sign up. It is quite an important or emerging, the importance of the disease is emerging. So it's a chance to get some free results with quite small input. So just give you a minute to note down those details if you are interested. And I'll just hand over to the other panelists here and see if anyone else wants to add anything. Martin, you always have something to say.
No, I'm very aware of time, and if we do have any more questions or people would like to get in touch with us, we'd be very thankful. Thank you very much for everyone's participation.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have my mail here. So yeah, if you have any question or you want to join a focus group that we are planning over the few next months, just send me a mail and I will get in touch with you. Thank you.
We could just leave this on till the half past because there's a few bits and bobs going on in the chat. So we'll sort of hang around for the next couple of minutes. But thanks, everyone.
Thank you.